What's up, guys? I wanted to make a quick video and bring this to some people's attention because I think this game will be dope, and for some reason I do not get sick of games in this genre and with these aesthetics. If you didn't already know, Lords of the Fallen comes out on October 13th, and it's one of the last big releases of the year. It's another Souls-like game, and one that we've been waiting a very long time for. So back in 2014, when the first Lords of the Fallen game was released, I remember playing it on launch day, and simply put, it was average at best. Its release was about 6 months or so after Dark Souls 2 was released, so I could compare it directly to that. Lords of the Fallen felt a little more rigid and deliberate. It was slower, sometimes clunky combat. I remember I felt like my attacks had more oomph behind them, which was nice, but overall it was just sort of uninspired. No memorable bosses I can recall, and the game was pretty short. It had a few mechanics of its own, but nothing spectacular that had you telling your friends all about it. Here we are 9 years later, and we're on the brink of having its sequel, also bizarrely named Lords of the Fallen, be unleashed on the gaming world. And this game is one that you want to pay attention to for a few reasons. The developers are hoping for a home run, and they've packed a lot of features into this game. It's basically the first Unreal Engine 5 game to come out that should push the engine to the limit and kind of show us what can be done. We do have some other big Unreal Engine 5 games coming out down the pipeline, but this should be an eye-opener to the power of Unreal 5 and just how next-gen it can actually be. If the trailers are any indication, this game is a visual feast. Now, a pretty-looking game is great, but it's got to be a complete game. The developers are trying to carve out their own space in the Souls-like genre and said in an interview how they specifically took player feedback and press criticism into account from the original game to evolve this one into something fresh. One of the big features of the game that I'm most excited for is that there's apparently 10 different classes that can be played. I am really hoping that they nail some diverse playstyles here and that the 10 classes actually feel and play entirely different. Of course, they will fall into distinct archetypes. I just hope that Archer number 1 and Ranger number 2 somehow feel unique. This is always a hard piece of the puzzle for devs to create and balance, and we will find out soon enough if they've had good reason to actually make 10 different classes. The overall speed and difficulty of the game has apparently been ramped up and smoothed out, which will hopefully open the door to some new class design. Another big selling point that sounds difficult to design but extremely intriguing is the dual worlds that exist around you at all times. Axiom is the world of the living, the normal world that you'd expect to see. However, Umbral, the realm of the dead, exists parallel to Axiom. It's sort of like the upside down type thing that you might have seen in Stranger Things. This Umbral world is around you at all times, you just can't see it. Using a tool called the Umbral Lamp, you can illuminate the world of Umbral while still remaining in Axiom. This alternate world is entirely fleshed out like the main overworld and is stuffed full of more difficult and grotesque enemies, bosses, and of course, loot. Where it really gets cool is how if you die in Axiom, you don't just die like in other Souls-like games. You go from the land of the living to the land of the dead, and you get a second chance to fight your way out of hell and get your souls back. To add on to this, you can apparently do some sort of ritual thing to sacrifice yourself and go to Umbral intentionally to loot hunt or fight bosses or whatever. If they can really make this dual world mechanic thing work, I think it could be franchise defining. You obviously need to check all the boxes to make a successful Souls game, but you also need to find your own style and mechanics to make it unique and have a selling point. These devs have packed a lot of other features into the game, including co-op and a PvP mode, which are always kind of hit or miss, but creating an actually good PvP mode that isn't full of hackers or cheese would be a dream for a lot of Souls players. Although I haven't played it personally, I've watched quite a few streams of another recent Souls-like game called Lies of P that seemingly was generally well received. They really took a creative vision with that game, did something different with it, and hopefully it paid off financially for them as well. I'm really rooting for these smaller studios releasing quality games and making a name for themselves. If we want to continue to see new franchises, new ideas, and new risks in the gaming ecosystem, we gotta give them a shot, and I will 100% be giving Lords of the Fallen a fair shot. Its aesthetics, the bleak story, the awesome sounding two-world system, and the bountiful amount of classes has me dying to play. This game just looks like it was made for me, so October 13th cannot come soon enough. Let me know what you guys think, and if you plan on playing Lords of the Fallen, I know that I can't wait to die a lot in a new world and then die again in the underworld. But hey, as always, thanks for watching and take care.